This title is narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. 100 Favorite Classic Hollywood Films from the 1930s, 40s, and 50s by Gary Koca. Chapter 1. Introduction. In two past books that I have written, I focused on forgotten stars of the 1930s through the 1950s, that is, stars who were pretty big movie stars in their time, but that most people today would not be familiar with unless they were fans of classic Hollywood films of that era. I have also written books on great Western stars and on good and bad science fiction movies of the 1950s. In this book, however, I am concentrating on my favorite 100 movies of the 1930s, 1940s, and 1950s. I have focused on American films only, with a few British films included also. I am not an expert on foreign language films, so there are none in here. Please note that this means that they are my favorite films, not the best films of those 3 decades. For example, Citizen Kane, along with Casablanca, are generally regarded as the best 2 American films of the classic era. However, while I like Citizen Kane, it is just not one of my favorite films, and I'm not really sure why. Perhaps I never thought it really justified its ranking, so I dropped it from my list altogether. The same thing would apply to Vertigo, although I have several other Hitchcock films in the list. I will also admit that I am partial to certain genres of films, in particular the following: Westerns, film noir, monster movies, horror movies, mysteries, particularly those of Alfred Hitchcock, swashbucklers, musicals. With those facts in mind, let me note that I am first listing about 20 films that just missed the cut of the top 100. The next group in alphabetical order are films 100 to 20, and the final cut in order are my 20 favorite films of all time. If you want to skip to the end of the book and look at my number 1 film, I certainly can't stop you. I only permitted one film from 1960 to make the list, and it is one of my favorites, Spartacus. Lawrence of Arabia would certainly have been in there, but 1962 was just too much of a stretch. I hope you will find some of your favorite films in this list. I am sure that you will also find a few where you will say, "How could he put this piece of junk in there?" And maybe, just maybe, there will be a few films where you say to yourself, "I have never seen that movie. I should check it out." Okay, the ground rules are set, so here we go. Chapter 2. Honorable Mention. There are a number of films from the 1930s to 1950s that don't make it to my top 100 list, but are still worth at least mentioning. Some of them might even be among your favorite films. And that is, of course, all right. That's why we have chocolate and vanilla. I will simply list them in no particular order. Shadow of a Doubt. Hitchcock said it was his favorite film that he directed. Teresa Wright and Joseph Cotten were very good together. Beware of relatives who decide to move in with you is the theme. Guys and Dolls. I love musicals, and this is one of my favorites. The songs are great, and Frank Sinatra and Vivian Blaine in particular were really good. My only problem is Marlon Brando as Sky Masterson. He was okay, but no Gene Kelly. Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. I really enjoy the old Disney animation films, and Snow White launched Disney into the feature film category. All of us should be forever grateful for that. His Girl Friday. While I am not a big fan of romantic comedies, this 1940 film was an exception. Cary Grant as a newspaper editor, and Rosalind Russell as his girl reporter, and ex-wife, whom he still loves, were a perfect match, and the dialogue was very witty and snappy. Rope, another Hitchcock film starring James Stewart as a professor,
Para seguir escuchando este audiolibro gratuitamente, haz clic en el enlace de la descripción y podrás escucharlo completo sin coste gracias a la prueba de 30 días de Audible.